Hi everyone, welcome to another live stream. Lar from Complete Test Success here, and today we're looking at General Training IELTS Writing Task 1. So we're going to be looking at letter writing today. So if you are doing the academic test, this is not going to be very helpful for you. So probably better spend some time working on other parts of the test. If you are doing general training, the way this works is I'm going to show you a question. I'm going to get you to write the various parts of the answer, and I'm going to give you feedback. So if you're making mistakes, I'll show you what your mistakes are, and that way you can avoid repeating them. Or if your mistakes are with grammar or vocab, well, then you can work on improving those areas. So basically, the goal here is for me to point out what problems you have, and then you will know how to improve your scores, because fix those problems and your scores will go up. That's basically it. Let's have a look at today's question. Today's question: you have experienced some issues with a colleague who recently started working at your company. Write a letter to your manager. In your letter, explain what the issues are, describe how other colleagues feel, and suggest how to resolve the issue. All right, now the first thing that we need to do is we need to write the greeting. So that is my first task for you here today. We're going to have to write the greeting. What I want you to do is write the greeting, share it with me in the comments, and then I'll be able to tell you if you are doing okay or if you've made mistakes, what those mistakes are. So that's the first thing. Write the greeting, share it with me in the comments, and I will be able to give you feedback. Hi, Ramalia. Good to see you here. Welcome to the lesson. Okay, so while I'm waiting for you, let me explain a little bit more about what we're doing. So we have to write the greeting for the letter. So the greeting is going to be dear something. You can change it around, you can mix it up, but the thing is, if you look at the bottom of the question, it says begin your letter as follows, dear something. So instead of trying to make it more varied, we'll just do exactly what the question has asked us to do. So just as we have from Dimitri here, dear Mrs. Thom, dear Mr. Thom. Perfect. So let's take that, and Dimitri's on Facebook or YouTube. So just give me a moment now and I'll copy and paste that. Okay, perfect. So there's our greeting. So we said dear, just as the question said. And as Dimitri has noticed, we're writing a formal letter. So it's going to be Mr. and surname, followed by a comma. So absolutely perfect there, Dimitri. Everything exactly the way we want it. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the instructions from the top and the bottom of this question because we don't need those anymore. All right, and from there, we're going to have to write our first paragraph, and our first paragraph is responding to the first prompt. So the prompt says, explain what the issues are. So that is our next goal. What I want you to do first is write the first sentence of paragraph 1. If you've been to my live streams or you've watched my recorded lessons on YouTube already, you'll know that I want all of my students to respond with a direct answer to that question in the first sentence. So instead of saying there are many problems that I want to talk about, say exactly what are the problems, what are the issues. Okay, so one other thing to be aware of, this question says explain what the issues are, and it's issues plural. So if we only talk about one issue, that is not going to be enough. So there's obviously more than one problem. So we're going to have to mention at least two, and I would say two is enough. If we start listing, 5, 6, 7 problems, then we're going to have no time to develop the paragraph. So that's what I want you to do. Write the first sentence of paragraph 1, share it with me in the comments, and I'll be able to show you if you're doing it okay or if there are any mistakes or problems. Okay, Ramalia, I'm writing to bring to your attention some concerns regarding our new colleague who recently joined our team. So you can do that. You can have a first sentence like that and then start responding to the prompts. So what some students or some candidates or teachers like to do is they'll put that sentence in after the greeting, and then they'll start responding to the prompts. I personally prefer just to jump straight into the prompts. If you need to include some context, you can include that in the first sentence as well. But I don't want to have a sentence that's just introducing the topic. I'm going to go straight from introduction to the first body paragraph addressing the prompt that says explain what the issues are. So I want to get directly into that because, we're only going to write about 180 words, and I want every word I write to respond to the prompts. I don't want to have that sentence that, and it's not that it has no purpose. It introduces the topic. There's nothing, it's not necessarily that it's wrong, but I want to dedicate every word I have to the prompts because that's going to mean I have more development. So to me, it's using time more wisely, but there's nothing wrong with this approach. And a lot of teachers like to do it this way. Hi, Bincy. Welcome to the lesson. Good to see you here. Zendine. Hi, Zendine. So what you've done is fine, but the punctuation is incorrect. So the information is accurate. Like what you've written is okay. The content is okay. That's what I wanted to say. The content is fine because it's a formal letter and you've given a formal greeting. So that's perfect. But the punctuation, the M in Mr. and the T in Tom need to be capital letters, not lowercase. And after the full stop, so Mr. dot, you need a space after that. So if you look at the punctuation of what Dimitri wrote, you can see it on the screen here. That's what you need to do as well. So your punctuation, it seems like you have a punctuation problem. So I would recommend that you work on that. So full stops, no, not full stops, excuse me, capital letters and spaces. Those areas of punctuation need your attention. Okay, so just in case it's unclear what we're doing here, the first prompt is the part of the question that says, explain what the issue is. Oh, excuse me, what the issues are. So that's what we're responding to. That's what I'm asking you to do, is write one sentence responding to this. Explain what the issues are. Dimitri, I'm writing to inform you that I have faced some difficulties with one of my colleagues who joined the company a month ago. Now, this is setting the context. So what I want to do is, and this is what I mean when I want a direct response. I want a direct response to the prompt. So here you've set the context, but the prompt is saying, explain what the issues are. So what I want to do in the first sentence is I want to say what those issues are. So I like your writing, the quality of your writing is good. So what we can do with this is we can add it for now. I'm writing to inform you that I face some difficulties with one of my colleagues who joined our company a month ago. Now, at the moment, this at where you said some difficulties is too vague, and I want to say exactly what those difficulties are. So that's what I want to do. I want to include exactly what the difficulties are. Okay, so Romalia has it. One of the primary concerns is a lack of effective communication. It appears that our colleague tends to be reserved and often hesitates to ask for assistance or clarification when needed. Very nice. Okay. This has led to misunderstandings and inefficiencies in our collaborative efforts. This is a great piece of writing too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is try and combine these two and make it into one more coherent paragraph. Okay. Some communication difficulties. Do you know what? This actually works because it's plural communication difficulties and the issues are more than one. So what Ramalia has included is a lack of assistance, lack of clarification. So this actually works. So the way this has been written, it actually it works quite well. A colleague who recently started work. I think one thing that I would say is your manager is going to know who you're talking about. So sometimes this is what happens is candidates write the letter where they're trying to explain everything to the examiner. So, you know, I have a colleague who's worked here with me that started working with me recently, but imagine you're writing to your manager would know who's working there. They would know who started recently. So I'd even go by name and mention the name of the person. Face some communication difficulties with, instead of saying one of my colleagues who joined our company a month ago. I mean, they're going to know. So like, let's say with John. Okay. So I'm writing to inform you that I am facing some communication difficulties with John. And I like the fact that this is difficulties plural because that addresses the fact that we've been asked to talk about issues. So that tidies it up very nicely. One of my primary concerns is a lack of effective communication. It appears that our colleague tends to be reserved and often hesitates to ask for assistance or clarification when needed. This has led to misunderstandings and inefficiencies in our collaborative efforts. This is great. I love this. This is a fantastic paragraph. So we've introduced it quite clearly in the first sentence, and then we've developed it for the rest of the paragraph. Very focused, very well written, great language use. Let me just see how long it is. So that there is about 57 words. It's not about, it's exactly 57 words. And in this paragraph, I want to write 60 words, about 60 words. So this is perfect. Good length, good quality language, directly to the point, well developed. So, I mean, you couldn't ask for more than this. This is a fantastic paragraph here. So good job to both of you, Ramalia and Dimitri. Okay, so from there, well, we need to move on to the next prompt. So what we need to look at next is the first sentence for paragraph 2. Describe how other colleagues feel. Okay, so we're going to talk about the other colleagues' feelings. Again, write the first sentence, share it with me in the comments, and if you're making any mistakes, I'll be able to point those out to you. Okay, while you're doing that, I'll continue giving feedback to the other students here. Zendine, I would like to complain about some issues I've experienced with my new colleague who recently joined us. He's not disciplined at all, not respecting the service regulations, and disrespect me twice when I tried to warn him. Okay, so we've already mentioned punctuation as a problem with your grammar. So definitely continue, like, we can see those mistakes appearing here again, mistakes with spaces, mistakes with full stops, mistakes with capital letters. So that's definitely an area for you to work on. Besides that, it's kind of the same things that I've already said previously. Let's talk about the person by name. You don't need to say my new colleague to your manager. They'll know who the person is. So if you say John, they'll know it's a new colleague. So you don't need to explain to your manager that it's a new colleague, even though I know you're not writing to a manager and I know it's the IELTS examiner that's going to look at your writing, but you should still write it from that perspective that you're writing to a manager who will know that John is a new colleague. So, or whatever name you want to use. The other thing then is you're just listing lots of problems. Not disciplined, doesn't respect the service regulation, disrespect me twice when I was trying to warn. So what we don't want is a big list of many different problems. What we want instead is just a more focused paragraph. So we've said communication difficulties, and then with Ramalia's work, we've elaborated more clearly on what those difficulties are and the results and the outcome of those. So try to have fewer issues and develop them further. Work on your punctuation and write as if it's the manager that's reading your letter, not the examiner. You don't need to explain to the examiner who the person is. Or you don't need to explain to the manager, excuse me. Lion Gaming XYZ. Sir, is 5.5 in one module for academic students is applicable for Canadian visa? I don't know a lot about immigration. So like when a student joins my courses, I will get them to find out what scores they need first. Even if I have a student who doesn't know what scores they need, I won't accept them onto my course. I don't know. There are different requirements. It depends on your age. It depends on your occupation. It depends on other things you can apply with, like I have a student who was able to speak French, so they were able to use that as well as their IELTS certificate. So there are a lot of different factors, and I don't, of course, I've spoken to them with my students, but I can't say for sure. So you'd really need to contact, like an immigration office or some kind of an agent to help you with that. I don't want to give you incorrect information, so I'm not going to say what exactly because I don't know. I would like to announce you some problem with Mrs. X who recently joined our department. Okay, so again, say what the problem is, because with this sentence, you haven't said what the problem is. So the next sentence, you'll say what the problems are. And then in the following sentences, you'll develop it. But there's a lack of development in that the sentence you've just written hasn't kind of got the thing started yet. So this is establishing the context, then you'll say the problems. But if we're only writing 60 words for each paragraph, then the amount of development you have reduces because you're not getting into the topic directly. So I would recommend you to just mention the exact problems straight away, and that would be better. Mrs. X, whatever name, put in a name, any name. I know you're probably just doing it quickly for this lesson, but definitely use a surname instead of X. You've spelled department incorrectly. You've spelled joined incorrectly. It should be to announce, not announced, so no D there. So some vocab and grammar mistakes. and then just with the task achievement, try to get started by mentioning the exact problems. Okay, Ramalia, this has been reflected in a sense of unease among some team members who have expressed concerns about the impact on our productivity. This has been reflected in a sense of unease. So we're going to have to change this, the grammar a little bit, but the content is definitely there. Okay. So Ramalia. So at the moment, it's the use of the word reflect. We're going to have to change that around. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to fix this yet. This issue. Maybe just say has resulted in, I think. That's clear. So this issue has resulted in a sense of unease among some team members who have expressed concerns about the impact on our productivity. Good. Another issue with John is that it is not only me who has concerns about his attitude. In fact, many other members of our team agree with me. Yep, good. In discussions with my co-workers, it is evident that there is a desire for a more inclusive and open work environment. So this, I'm not sure how this responds to the lack of communication of the new employee. So what we want to do is, I think like this, outside the context of the letter we're writing might make sense, but we've just said the problem is our new staff member isn't communicating very well. Now, if we're saying we want a more inclusive and open work environment, I don't see the connection between what we're saying here and the problem that we've mentioned above, that there's poor communication. Also, what we want to focus on is the prompt. So the prompt has said, describe how other colleagues feel. Oh, no, that's fair enough that this is what they want. Okay, so the issue is I don't see the direct connection between this and the poor communication of the other teammate. Another aspect of this issue with John is that it is not only me who has concerns about change. In fact, many other members aren't agree. Okay, so that's fine. We looked at that already. We believe that fostering a sense of belonging and understanding among team members is crucial for achieving our goals. Okay. Again, I'm not sure how this relates to the communication. So I don't fully see the connection, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. What I'm saying is that I don't see it, so I'm not going to include it right now. What I wanted to be in some way related to the issue that we've talked about. So our teammate isn't communicating clearly. How do other colleagues feel about that? This seems like another issue at work. I don't see the connection, so I'm not going to include that. Actually, after I worked with John for a while, I observed that he has a lack of confidence and he looks careless. He seems to be careless with his duties. Good. So again, punctuation again, but we said that already. Yep, this is a good, the content is good here. Not only me, but also other co-workers in our workplace are not satisfied with either her professional behavior or personal traits. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to stay focused on just the issues we've mentioned already. So, if you're writing another letter and it wasn't related to the letter we're writing, perhaps the context would be fine. But we want to keep it all kind of cohesive in that we've just said an issue in paragraph 1, and now we're mentioning more issues in paragraph 2. The prompt says, describe how other colleagues feel. Well, feel about what? Feel about the thing that we've just mentioned in paragraph 1. So we're going to stay focused on the content that we've already written. Dimitri, I'm not sure what you're apologizing for, but no problem. I have a comment here, if I may, Lar. In real life, things aren't so direct. Getting straight to the point without introductory sentence might be considered too rude by some managers. So there would be a huge gap between language and politeness, two inseparable components of correspondence. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to include that extra sentence before the first paragraph, that's completely fine. For the sake of the IELTS test, it's not going to bring down your score if you add that. In the real world, would it be better to write an introductory sentence? I guess it depends on your manager and your relationship with that manager. But for the sake of our task achievement score, I want our limited time of 20 minutes to be focused 100% on the prompts. So I wouldn't say I disagree with you. What you're saying makes sense, but it would not be my approach for the letter. To address these concerns, I would like to propose a few suggestions. Firstly, I recommend organizing team building activities and workshops that focus on effective communication and collaboration. Yep, so that would be for the next prompt, suggest how to resolve this issue. But where we are right now is we have this sentence that the communication difficulties with our team member is creating unease among the team members who have expressed concerns about the impact on their productivity. We need to say more about this. So at the moment, that is 23 words. So we need another 37 words. We are not finished this paragraph yet. So what I'll do is I'll just make this a bit smaller so we can all see it more clearly. So just to make it clear what we're trying to do here, we're trying to finish paragraph 2. The prompt is describe how other colleagues feel. We've started that, but we haven't finished it. Any of the responses that you sent to me, I can see how they would be relevant in another letter, but we're working together. We're trying to construct this letter together in the lesson. So the content of the responses you've sent to me aren't suitable for this paragraph, considering what we said in the first paragraph about the communication difficulties. So we are not ready to move on to the next one yet, although what you have said there, Romilly, it definitely makes sense, and we'll come back to it later. After having a serious conversation with my other colleagues, I truly consider that the most of them feel upset and disagree to continue working with John because of his services quality. Okay, so this is mostly relevant. Let me just jump into Facebook and I'll get that and we'll fix it up. And I'll be able to show you some of the vocab mistakes, or sorry, the punctuation mistakes that we've been talking about too. Okay, so let's just add that to the paragraph and we'll tidy it up. So let's look at your punctuation mistakes first, because those are quite common. Okay, so you've put I as a capital I this time. That's good. When it comes to full stops and commas, no space on the left, but we need a space on the right. John needs to be a capital J because it's a first name, it's a proper noun, full stop at the end. So those types of punctuation mistakes we've been seeing in all of your writing so far. Sendin. Okay, now let's tidy up the rest of it. Okay, after having a serious conversation with my other colleagues, I truly consider that most of them feel let's say I am convinced, well, not maybe convinced, I am confident that most of them feel upset and would prefer not to continue working with John because of his, now, we won't say services quality. Earlier on, we said communication problems. So let's stick with the same context. because of his communication problems or because of his poor communication. Now, how are we looking here? That is 55 words, so that's good enough. That's about, like I said, we're aiming for about 60, so that's good. All right, and then our final job is to write the final prompt. So the final thing we need to do is write paragraph 3. So that will be our response to the third prompt. Suggest how to resolve this issue. So that's what I'd like you to do next. However, we did have something from Ramalia a little bit earlier. So we can start with that. Ramalia. So we had this. To address these concerns, I would like to propose a few suggestions. Now, again, I always want to directly respond in the first sentence. It's not a requirement of the IELTS test, but what I feel like is if you start talking about other stuff and then you'll come back later, you're not really developing the idea as much as you could. Whereas if you put the idea in the first sentence, then there's 100% focus on what the prompt asked us to discuss. So I'm going to do this. To address these concerns, I would like to propose organizing some team building activities and workshops that focus on effective communication collaboration. Very well written again, Romilly. Your language, the quality of the range and the accuracy are really, really strong. Okay, so what that leaves us with then is to finish that paragraph. So what else can we say about this point here so that we have a 60-word paragraph? So we're after getting through this relatively quickly today, 35 minutes. So we'll finish this paragraph and then we'll have to sign off the letter after that. Okay, so let me continue giving feedback here. Where are we? Romalia, for instance, during team meetings and collaborative projects, C has shown a tendency to work in isolation rather than effectively participate in group discussions. So this would have been for paragraph 2. That would have been good. Yep. Whereas teamwork relies heavily on open communication and shared output. Good. Sorry, teacher, about making more mistakes. No problem. That's what we're here for. The whole purpose of this lesson is for me to show you your mistakes. So definitely, there's absolutely no problem with making mistakes. I have other lessons showing you how to write task 1 letters and what to put in each sentence. So, the whole purpose of the live streams is for me to point out mistakes. So absolutely no problem. It's to be expected. If you weren't making mistakes, you wouldn't need to be here. This is the truth. Dimitri, for example, some of the programmers who work on our project told me that his behavior has caused a delay in the execution of a contract with our counterparts. So let's say with our clients instead of counterparts. So your counterparts would be the people who do the same thing as you. So counterparts is wrong. Everything else in that piece of writing is really, really strong. Hassan, great work, Lara, helping to achieve our required band. Thank you, Hassan. Cindy, more compliments. Thank you. The only solution I can propose is to ask John to take part in the education program on effective communication. Our local. Yes, I would add in that. I know you can remove the word that as it's grammatically correct, but in this case, putting in that, so the program on effective communication that our local university conducts, that would be clearer. It would be clearer in this case. So technically speaking, it's grammatically correct, but it would definitely be clearer in this context to include the word that. Yep. So that's perfect. We've already written the first sentence here, so this would be the first sentence of paragraph 3, and it would be fine. but we already have the first sentence on our document here today, so we won't add that one, Dimitri, but definitely that would be perfect to add as your first sentence for paragraph 3. You've spelt university incorrectly, but I think that's just a typo. I would like to suggest a fair solution is to give John a chance and time so he might start updating with our policy to be more effective and communicating well. Okay, again, this would be perfect as the first sentence, but we have one here already. So all we're looking to do is finish this sentence, finish this paragraph. At the moment, it is 22 words, so we need about another 38 words or something like that, but a continuation of this point here. Hi, Wakwe. Petronilla, good to see you here. We're just coming towards the end, and this is general training task 1 today. So if I recall correctly, you're doing academic. So this one isn't all that useful for you, but good to see you here nonetheless. Welcome to Morocco anytime. Thank you. I'd love to go to Morocco. Ahmad, I would recommend that she be dismissed from work immediately, as such behavior is not only intolerable, but also detrimental to our work ethics. Okay, Ahmad, so again, as we said earlier on, we've already written a sentence for the first sentence of this paragraph. So we could replace it with this one. It's a well-written paragraph and it makes sense. Sorry, it's a well-written sentence and it makes sense. It's relevant. So everything is perfect, just that we already have one. So I won't include it, but it is very well written. Perfect. I'll have lessons. So next Tuesday, I'll have a live stream. Will be relevant to you there. So see you again. Just an example. No, it's perfect. That's what I asked you to do. That's exactly what I asked you to do. It's perfect, Ahmad. Yeah. Okay. So if we don't get a response in the next 1 or 2 minutes, what I might do is just write it myself. Just for the sake of time, I have a lesson with a student of mine in 20 minutes. So I just want to make sure that I'm not late for that. But I'd also like to finish our letter here together as well. So let's say 1 or 2 minutes. If we don't see, if I don't see a comment responding to the rest of this paragraph, I'll just put it together myself and then we'll continue. No, we wouldn't really write a conclusion. We don't need a conclusion. We'll have one paragraph responding to each prompt. So the third prompt suggests how to resolve this issue, how to resolve the issues. That's all we need to do. So no, there wouldn't be a conclusion in task 1. Okay. So I'm going to finish this paragraph myself and we'll move on from there. Okay, so to address these concerns, I would like to propose organizing some team building activities and workshops that focus on effective communication and collaboration. Because John has all Okay, something like that. So because John has all the other necessary skills to do his job effectively, I believe that he will be a very valuable member of the team as soon as we help him to overcome this obstacle. Okay, how long is that? 58. Okay, perfect. So we've essentially written the full answer, but we do not have our sign off yet. So that is the last task for you guys here today. How would you sign off on this letter? So we just need to say the sign off down here at the bottom. So what are we going to say here to sign off the letter? Keeping in mind it is a formal letter, so we'll need a formal sign off. And that is the full answer completed at that point. Okay, so I'll just give you another minute. Let's see if you can do that correctly, and then we will move on from there. Yours faithfully, Lar. Now, we won't put in Lar, yours faithfully, comma. Now, Lar is my first name, so that's not suitable. We need to put in my first name and my surname, Lar Ryan. That's just to stay with the formal tone. We need the first name and the last name. So that's one little thing. So make sure to put in the comma after yours faithfully, and make sure to put in your first name and your surname. So Lar Ryan in my case. And that right there is a complete letter. We have written the whole thing. That's it, done. Good work. 45 minutes. That's pretty impressive for all of us collaborating together to put that together, put together a full answer in 45 minutes. So that's very, very good. Very good quality, good quality content, very good quality writing as well, with the range of vocab, and the accuracy has been really, really good today. So good job. Well done, everyone. We'll finish up there today. I have a live feedback lesson tomorrow. So if you're joining me there, I'll see you there on Zoom. If you haven't already signed up for those, you'll find the link in the video description. I'll be back with another live stream next week. And I think that's it. Okay, so well done to everyone. Really good work today. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.